Hi, this is Kurt with Friendly DevOps, and today I'm going to throw my hat into the debate on coding principles. Now, as a DevOps engineer, my daily coding tasks are about 4 levels below that of a web dev, so take what I say however you will. With that being said, I've been coding on and off for about 25 years now, and in that time, I've been constantly studying the rules and principles set out by some of the top developers such as Jonathan Blow, Robert Martin, and the numerous other YouTubers that have posted their opinions on the matter. The only real takeaway I have from this research is that being a zealot is a pointless waste of time, and that different coding concepts are beneficial based on the situations. The idea that everything needs to be an object because we can liken them to animals and insert verb actions for method isn't consistent with all observed interactions. When observing real life, not all objects act but are acted upon. I would compare this to a factory, wherein raw materials are converted into useful items. In coding terms, this would be like a function. And while I do prefer the use of function in the code I write, I still see situations where objects containing the state and methods make sense. For example, a window on a desktop. It makes perfect sense to store the size and position of the window within the window object and all the methods of altering the window as well. In video games, storing character and NPC data in an object makes sense conceptually, and string and array objects with methods to alter the behavior of operators makes working with these data types significantly easier. And as a point of note, my use of functions in my program doesn't mean I'm into functional programming. That is something completely different. From my understanding, the way in which I use functions would be considered procedural programming, and in that I can say that I have only one rule that I can completely agree with, and that is functions should not alter the state of the arguments that are passed to it. This is a rule I rarely see adhered to though. And when importing third-party libraries, I rarely have seen one that contains functions that don't alter the state of the arguments passed to it, so I've already lost on that front. Another concept I would like to touch upon is the argument between imperative and declarative programming styles. I write code imperatively because that's the way I solve problems step by step. The only times I generally ever written code in a declarative fashion is in using objects. I'm not particularly married to either coding style, but I understand that people feel the need for consistency. While I have not had to maintain a large code base, I have had to make changes to several of my team's custom libraries. While I can see how consistency would be a benefit in maintaining large code bases, the thing that perplexes me the most is obfuscation, or more euphemistically known as abstraction. I'm personally not a fan of obscuring the implementation of a class under several levels of interfaces. Having to implement a change to a library that the original developer didn't envision is an exercise in leaping from one place to another. Then once a change is made, I have to follow my way back up the chain, ensuring that every interface and implementation accounts for that change. From my experience, most of the abstraction is done to make configurations easier for junior engineers, but in turn increases the workload of senior and lead engineers. And at the moment, I don't know where the ideal balance is, but I don't think it needs to include a web of dependencies and layers of obfuscation. Unfortunately, the conclusion that I had recorded to this video had the audio corrupted, so I'm going to have to finish this with a voiceover and some unrelated video playing over it. Ultimately, what I would like to convey is I feel it's best to experiment. Create your own personal project so that you can experience the benefits and drawbacks of a particular style and don't blindly follow coding principles just because someone with a lot of clout says it's the way. I personally am heavily swayed by the arguments of Brian Will and Casey Moratori regarding object-oriented programming, probably because it reinforces my own notions of OOP. But even so, I still have several OOP projects that I am currently working on. Regardless of what style and principles that you think are the best, I hope you will take a moment to try out something new. I would like to discuss this further, so please leave your opinions in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And until the next time, take care.